we don't really, as a society, know what's going on, and our ideas are twisted on it. And so not only do we have like disinformation about the nature of psychopathy, we also internalize some psychopathic values, so we don't value other life. And like Lisa was saying, we can, be encouraging people to suicide just because, well, it's just some other person, if they're going to kill themselves, whatever, what does it matter to me? And so we get this culture of selfishness, and that really goes against, all the kind of ideals that we think of as being human qualities. And so, I think that with psychopaths in power, the people in society, they become more and more to resemble psychopaths in certain ways. Now, they don't become psychopaths.
Yeah, let me have a... Yeah. Because Lisa Giuliani was talking about how she asked all of her readers, to note the posts, And I think that the Internet is a rather interesting entity for studying psychopathy because it you have on the Internet, you have these things called trolls. People automatically have identified psychopaths without having any psychological knowledge, and they label them trolls. And Penny Arcade, a great net cartoon, created this thing called The Gift, which is the greater Internet fucktard theory.
Okay.
Which basically describes what happens to people when they can act without any fear of punishment, with anonymity. And you see like lots and lots of people coming out on the Internet and being just absolutely horrible human beings. And I think that the source of that is that there are a lot more psychopaths in society than we've been led to believe. And when they get on the Internet, of course, you see these trolls and cyber stalkers and all this different stuff. So I just wanted to point that out because Lisa brought up this whole talking about the comments and people saying, yeah, jump, this kind of troll phenomenon on the Internet.
Yeah.
And trolls are essentially psychopaths. I mean, that's what I feel from my experiences on the Internet, that trolls are very psychopathic people.
Yeah. This touches on a number of topics that come to mind for me. I mean, recently there was this article about how some research team, I think in the U.S., are using Twitter to try and spot psychopaths. Now, this is different from what Jason's describing here, I think, but you can see how the two things would easily be conflated. So in this study, they were trying to, based on some criteria, they were trying to use certain keywords that people use in their tweets, what kind of punctuation they use, and deducing from that whether or not you can spot if somebody is a psychopath based on their Twitter tweets. And we got to be careful, I think, to distinguish, actively diagnosing someone as a psychopath from the more general observations that can be made of the way society is going based on its overall behavior. I mean, the thing that Lisa points out with the kind of comments and posts that people make, that's one thing in a hypothetical scenario that she just posited there, but there have been real cases where people on Facebook have been urged by their so-called friends to commit suicide. In other words, they actually posted on Facebook, I'm feeling blue, I feel like hell, I'm thinking about going over the edge. And they actually were egged on by their friends, so to speak, their Facebook friends, and there have been several instances where people have committed suicide live on Facebook. And it's horrifying,
I mean, that case is horrifying, but think about, all of the sort of psychological torture that goes on with people online, and the kind of like characters that come out and do these things. I mean, obviously not everybody who says something mean on the Internet is automatically a psychopath, but there's obvious trends of sort of like serial cyber stalkers that go around trolling the Internet. And that, I mean, it's one thing when you say one or two things mean or mean-spirited, or you get angry at somebody. That's one thing. But when you see somebody like following people around from board to board and like searching out their IP, and I'm going to come do this, and I'm going to kill you, and all this thing, I'm going to kill your family, and you see that kind of stuff, like even on YouTube, I mean, it's absolutely insane. And I mean, I'm going to call a spade when I say that somebody who's doing that kind of stuff is psychopathic, man. I'm sorry, but that's evil.
For sure.
That dedication to just trying to hurt somebody, and stalking them, and searching out their IP address and trying to find out where they live and stuff like that. I mean, that's psychopathic, man. That's not cool, you know?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, we're going to be talking about this hopefully a lot tonight. I mean, it's not just the number of psychopaths. It's the psychopathic behavior that normal people are aping. You know, what has drawn them to that? It's been mentioned briefly, and I think it's something we should get straight into. Harrison, you still there?
Yep.
Harrison, what kind of numbers do you think we're talking about in terms of psychopaths out there? An overall number, or?
Well, you mentioned something that's really important earlier. And that's that, what Robert Harris said, that he studies psychopaths in prison populations. So we've got this, or he had this, population available to him for study. And the problem we get into with the general population is that it's really hard to do studies like that, and very few have been done. It's hard to go around, and get a completely random sample, with enough people in a society and do these tests on them to see if they're psychopaths. It's the logistics of it are just really difficult. So,
all right, hey,
hold that thought, Harrison. We're going to take another call here.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Corey Shink.
Hey, Corey. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for bringing this topic up. I think it's amazing, and I love the show, so I added it to my contacts on my phone. So really quick, my comment that I wanted to make was that Harrison, I believe in the beginning, it said that one of the fundamental characteristics of psychopathy was lacking a conscience.
That's right, yeah.
And it just seems to me that in the world today, a lot of people lack that conscience, especially towards someone that's outside of their group, like if they're like Muslim or anything like that. And I was wondering if maybe he could talk a little bit about that and how the war on terror kind of seems to keep on spreading out over the whole world, making everyone the enemy, and if that kind of contributes to this sociopathy that we see.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point. I think that the kind of the distinction that has to be made is that a psychopath won't identify or won't have conscience with anyone. That'll include their inner circle. That'll include their family, the people that others might consider their friends just by watching their interactions with other people. Psychopaths really only out for him or herself. Like, they're the only person in their universe that matters. Now, you can get people, so-called normal people that aren't psychopaths, who really care about their family, or who really care about their their country, or some causes that they're involved in. And what a psychopath will do will set those kind of people against each other. So that's basically what a war is. That's a group of psychopaths that are setting groups of people against each other and dehumanizing and demonizing, one group to the other, to the point where that other group doesn't matter to the other group. They don't come within that sphere of influence, or that sphere of conscience. So you can get a person that really does have a conscience, or at least the bare necessities of one, but that won't extend past a certain circle around them. And so you get these. It's this divide and conquer tactic, where a psychopath will basically try to convince one person that other people are psychopaths. That's basically what leaders do in wars. Is what they do is they project their own traits onto the enemy group. So when you have a war, with the war on terror, for example, people will see Muslims as, and if you ask them, what kind of people Muslims are, they'll basically be describing a psychopath, and that's what the Israelis have been doing with the Palestinians. Like when you see comments from Israelis on the street just talking about Palestinians, they speak of them as if they weren't human, as if they were just these soulless, evil people as a group. And really, you'll get soulless and evil people in any population, but it's a fairly small number compared to everyone else. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the essential point: is psychopaths will project their qualities on other people, and that's how they get other people. That's how they get their own people to hate other people. They're really hating those traits that they themselves have, but they're projecting them onto another group that it benefits them to go to war against.
Well, assuming, I mean, I don't know if we can really say that a psychopath would hate his own traits. He probably loves his own traits, right?
That's not what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
Remember the article that I wrote that psychopaths are passing laws to protect themselves from each other. It's like they have this whole game that they play, the psychopaths in power. They know that they're psychopaths. They know the other side is psychopaths, and they play games. I mean, to them, your life is a game. Wars are a game. It's all fun. Push a couple of buttons, a few million people die, sign a couple of papers, somebody goes off to a camp, all these different stuff. And it's games between them. I think that in a certain sense, it's fun for them. I think that they get an enjoyment out of pulling the wool over people. It's like, here I am, a psychopath, and I'm getting you to hate this other guy who's also a psychopath. And isn't it so fun because you don't even realize that I'm manipulating you?
Yeah, it's domination and manipulation and enjoyment of that.
Yeah.
Domination and manipulation. So, Corey, did that answer your question more or less? We'll probably continue to talk about it, but I don't want to keep you on the line there.
No, yeah, that was the most satisfactory explanation of war that I've ever heard. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
All right, thank you,
Corey. Thanks for calling in.
Bye.
All right, see ya. So, actually, someone has just walked into our studio here. It's a very special guest. Her name is, I think she must have been listening and felt compelled to come down and set us straight. Her name is Laura Knight-Jadczyk, and she has written quite a lot on this topic, so no better person to join in the discussion and give us some pointers. So welcome, Laura.
Hi. I hope everybody can hear me because these guys gave me the lousiest microphone in the room.
That is not true.
It was the only one left.
The best
Right
one.
and clear.
You're lucky you got a chair.
You're coming through fine.
Yeah, I wanna bring the topic back to the title of the show, which is, do people think the psychopaths are cool, and why do they think the psychopaths are cool? And if you'll give me a minute, let me lay a little groundwork, and then see if we can't, crank some of these people up and get some calls in here. Back on October 22nd of 2002, I believe it was, I began publishing articles pointing out that our leadership in politics and all over the world, not just in the United States, but I was particularly focused on Bush and the neocons, that they were exhibiting the traits of psychopathy. And for a considerable period of time, I came under a lot of attack, a lot of defamation, et cetera, and then the cat was kind of out of the bag, and other people started getting on the bandwagon and talking about it. And not long after that, as soon as everybody started realizing, well, it's really true, people in power, people in politics, people in any kind of authoritative position, basically do exhibit the traits of psychopathy. So as soon as they, got onto that, then there was an introduction of kind of like a confusion campaign, like, trying to confuse the traits, the terms sociopath versus psychopath versus antisocial personality disorder, some fighting and arguing, people blaming other people for being psychopaths. It was, a big confusing disinformation campaign. Then that didn't work because people kept holding firm to the concepts. They were doing pretty well. And then along came the idea, well, if we can't, completely confuse the issue about psychopathy, who is or who isn't, or, what a psychopath really looks like or acts like, assuming that you can get close enough to them to make a long-term observation, which is what it really takes when you've got the good ones. Because believe me, the ones who are in prison are failures at psychopathy. The really good ones take a long time and multiple 360-degree views from many people in order to really suss them out.